Action.
Okay.
Let's roll.
Yep. Welcome to Pizzabox Paradox. First of all, thank you so much, Anoop, for letting us, use your space. It's a beautiful store, lovely backdrop, and works very well for what we're trying to do. And yeah.
Yeah, let's just also, Nisha, thanks for making time and joining us on this conversation.
I'm so excited with what you guys are doing, so I had to be part of it. No?
Yeah. I think we'd just like to begin by hearing your personal story, like how you got to where we are now, and
What do you guys generally do? And you can tell us the story about your brands and then
Right.
how it came into being.
So let Nisha start.
Okay.
Age over beauty always.
Yeah.
So I started. I mean, I've been a filmmaker for most of my working life, and and we've always been filmmakers, and for ourselves. So between waiting for projects and stuff, I was kind of looking for another kind of creative outlet, and I toyed with multiple things, fabric and food and like so many things, actually glass I've worked with, but this was random, and I was actually looking for a piece, like a tote for myself, and sourced leather from somewhere and figured out that this guy will kind of put it together for me, and made one piece. And this was in 2019
Right before
December. Yes, right before COVID. And no, sorry, 2018. Shit, sorry, I'm 6 years old now. Pishwi is 6 years. Yeah, Pishwi is 6 years old. We started actually approximately the same time. And 2018 was when I started off with that one piece, and it was December end, and on the 1st of Jan I had some people over, picked up a couple of pieces, and that's how it started. I mean, it was very organic. It was a very organic, slow start. It wasn't even meant to be a start. It was just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll make a bag for you. It started there. So yeah, we are 6 years down the line and still at it.
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Having that idea of starting something just because you wanted to do it, not because with the mindset of starting a business. I think the most outcomes come better when you do something for yourself.
Absolutely. So you're putting the best thing out there because you know exactly what you want. So I feel like in effect I'm kind of just making extensions of what I want.
Yeah.
So
Um,
Yeah, so Occam was conceptualized, I think, in 2017 when I was still working. And then I quit in 2018. I took a year to design all the prints. And we actually started at the end of 2019. So background-wise, I'm basically a graphic designer, and I've been in the advertising business for many, many years. And I also had the opportunity to work on a lot of fashion brands there. But I've always been very keen on men's fashion. Now, of course, it's changed. It's become non-binary, really. But very, very keen on fashion. And I've always wanted to do something in fashion. And I think it started because I wasn't really finding the kind of clothes that I wanted.
right.
And the kind of clothes that I really wanted would break my bank if I needed them. They're frightfully expensive, but I've always had expensive taste. Anyway, so I said, like, what do I do next? I said that I put two and two together, which is like my love for fashion and for what I want to wear. And I said, then let's just go ahead and start this brand. So that's how it started. So basically, for me, it's just a jump from one medium to another. So we moved from paper, digital, all that to fabric. That's pretty much what we did. And I've always been very keen on making my clothes mine. I've always wanted to have this peacock thingy. I don't know what the fuck that is. Anyway, I'm sorry. Can we swear?
Yeah, feel free.
Anyway, so that's how I started. And in 2019, I think we were ready. I was ready. We had all the prints. We got the shirts made and everything. 2019 end, prime time, just before COVID, we launched. And so we've been around from that time. We've somehow managed and sustained and gone through COVID, and we are here. So that's what I do now.
Right.
I think it's interesting that the both of you started this brand because you all wanted to make stuff for yourself rather than making it for
Right.
other people.
Right.
So when you say that, like with every design that you come up with, is it Like you look at something that you would wear and then push it out and see if other people like that too, or how is that? How does that work?
To a large extent, yes. I always see that, and I also have a few people in mind when I design stuff. So, but whatever I make, I would wear. If I wouldn't wear it, I wouldn't make it because I can't see myself in stripes and checks and stuff like that. And I mean, you get that everywhere.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
that's something that we're very clear on.
Okay.
An interesting question. Can you all tell us a little bit about your brand names? Because they're so unique in themselves. Like, for example, Pishwi, right? I come from Bombay where I've heard the word a lot. And to me, it always means bag because I'm not Maharashtrian particularly, I'm Gujarati. But that's one word that everyone
Stands out.
Yeah, like my mom's, even while, we were small and mom used to send us to get vegetables, she's like, Pishwi geun ye, Pishwi kute hai. And like, so that name when Dave told me, we're getting someone who runs Pishwi. I'm like, wait, what? Pishwi? Because like in my head, Pishwi stands for completely different. And it's only when I looked it up, and it meant bags in general.
Yes.
So,
I thought it was a pouch, right?
No, so basically, the two things to this question. One is that Pishwi ties me to my roots in Bombay that I absolutely love. I love being here. I moved to Bangalore 12 years ago. But Bombay is where my heart is, and I'm like, I'm like genetically tied to Bombay. So I just wanted to hold on to that one thing because my dad is Bombay. He is from a community that is specifically from Bombay. So that was one thing, and I wanted to like hold on to a bit of that because this whole brand is kind of modeled on everything that I've learned from my dad. But that is one thing. And another thing is that I love the whole ethos of Pishwi, in rural Maharashtra, women carry those striped bags, specifically the nylon striped bags, which they have their tools and their food and everything they need for the day and before going out into the farms. And it's a strong thing. It's solid and it sees you through every day for years. That bag is slogged for years until it gives way, and even maybe not then. So that's the whole ethos of brand. I wanted to have a sustainable brand that has those values that lasted forever, that see you through tough shit.
Yeah.
So Pishwi is that for me, and Pishwi
Such
is
an
that.
enigmatic name as well. It's like so unique.
Yeah. What about you?
So we are called OKM, and we pronounce it as Okum. So Okum stands for Only Kindness Matters, and it's actually a part of a lyric from a Jewel song. I think that song is called Hands. And the first time I heard it, I was so enamored by those three words, and so our whole philosophy is like, we designed for something known as the liberated self-expressionist. So somebody who's very liberated, who's not scared to express themselves, right? In terms of what they wear, what they do every day, right? So there's a huge thing of kindness, and the kindness starts with self, right? So the whole thing is, if I can liberate myself and show myself that kindness, I think that's where everything starts. If you can't be kind to yourself, you can't be kind to anybody, really. And then it's a farce, right? So that's where it's like. So that those three words stuck with me, and when I wanted a brand name, and it just, I don't know how it happened, to be honest. Did I work on it strategically? None of that stuff. It just happened. It organically became OKM, which became Okum, right? And so it's Only Kindness Matters, and it's a philosophy that, I mean, I live by, we all live by, I think all of us, really. So so that's the history of Okum in terms of the brand name, that is.
Okay. And I think for both of you all, this sort of started out as like a passion project in the sense, or maybe not. Or was it, like you said, you made it for yourself? When you did that,
Yes.
did you expect it to become a business, or?
Not particularly, it still isn't because I really suck at it. But what I really, really love about, my journey with Pishwi was that it has been organic from day one, and it still continues to be so, even in terms of the kind of people that are viewing me. I haven't really put out, my brand into the world in terms of marketing. But it's so great when people call me and say, "Oh my God, I just discovered your brand on Instagram," and I think I really enjoy keeping it that way. Like, discover me and find the. I had someone message me from Goa saying, "Oh my God, this is like adult candy. Like, I'm scrolling past your page and I'm going crazy."
It's crazy. So I've done a lot of exhibitions with Nisha, and her bags are like flowers, and women are like bees. They can't keep their hands off her bags, or like they have to stop by. Like my stuff, we've shared stalls sometimes. Because, I mean, I've seen men who run past my store because they're so scared of what they see. But women on the other hand, with her, and even men, so many men, like they just can't. It's incredible the kind of that visual attraction that Pishwi has in terms of it's incredible.
Yeah.
What about with Oakham?
What about it? Oakham?
So, no, I meant like, was it something that I think with your story, it is something that you dived into
Right.
entirely?
So no. So it's like I said, I've always been very, very passionate about fashion, then men's fashion. Now, of course, like I said, it's non-binary. But it is a passion, and I want. I mean, that's one of the reasons I quit the job. I quit my job and went into this headlock. Right. If it was just a passion and a side thing, then I would have had my job and had this done, run this parallelly. If I had done that, I would have shut this down a long time ago because it's still burning money. But the thing is, it is a passion, and I believe in it, and I believe, and there is an audience that we serve. It's a very small, very niche audience, but it's still an audience, and we need to kind of overserve them because nobody really serves those guys, right?
Yeah.
It's a very, very small audience. So you overserve that audience, and they get you, and so. Oakham's philosophy in terms of where we stand is, like I was saying, we are not in the fashion space, right? We are not in the fashion space. We are not in the trend space. So our audience are people who have an intrinsic sense of style, right? And for them, style is eternal. So it's irrelevant what brands they wear or what they mix and match. They do all kinds of stuff. They wear vintage stuff, new stuff, high street stuff, luxe stuff, and they mix and match. So it's really about them. It is never about what the brands that they wear. We don't have seasonal clothes. We don't do stuff like that, which is very fashion centric or very trend centric. We kind of stay away from that completely. So, I mean, we believe whatever we design is going to be there with you forever. So it's not like it's going to last you for the next 3 months and then you have to chuck it out. It's not. It's going to last you forever. What do I say? Like it's very fleeting, right? Fashion is very fleeting. It's in today, it's gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
We are not in that space at all. Okay. So we don't what do I say? That's not our audience. Our audience is this, which is people with that sense of style.
Yeah.
I also believe that every one of your pieces is like owning a piece of art. So that is timeless. I mean, it is art. It is art. It is absolute. It's expression. And if you identify with a particular design, it's like you are buying art,
The other day, Dev and I, we were going through your website. And Dev and I both, despite viewing your website together, we both had individual pieces that we loved individually. We're like, this speaks to me more than anything else, because usually when you do shopping on your traditional brands, fast shopping, and then it's just like, okay, my friend has this, then I looked at some of your pieces, I'm like, I should be wearing that, that's me.
That's nice. I mean, that's what I want people to identify with. That's me. Like, that is so me. And the thing with Oakham is, unlike other brands where the moment you wear an Oakham shirt, that shirt ceases to exist, right? Then it's you.
Yeah.
Then Oakham just becomes you.
Okay.
So there is no more Oakham. It's just you, right? So
I think even when we were like, when he mentioned the website, so I think we'll bring this up. We were like going through a couple of products and we said it's so interesting how, like, when you look at a Myntra or something and you look at the way they market shirts, it's like it's such basic information, whereas on you put a little story about each of the shirts, and it's very
all
interesting.
The prints have a story.
Yeah, and the names as well. It won't be a boring job to shop. When you usually shop, you're like, okay, check out. But I'm pretty sure everyone would have a laugh while just buying something, and that the experience, right? In the industry of creativity, we are selling products, but we are also selling a story and an experience.
Right.
Most people forget about that bit, right? Even when you're doing something as a podcast, people forget that it's a story that you're telling. It needs to be an experience. And
and I guess the shirts are always also maybe great conversation starters, right? Like with people.
Oh my God, I'm certain. Like you walk into the room and it started.
Yeah.
It is.
So I think on those lines, one thing we were wondering is, have you ever bumped into anyone wearing your shirt in like public?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Yeah.
We're wearing our shirts, our t-shirts. We do be a bump into people.
How does that? Do you usually go up and talk to them or not?
Yeah, I do. I don't say much. I just say, because, like I said, once they've bought the shirt and they wear the shirt, it's them. I have nothing to do with it after that. It's them. There's no point in saying, "Oh, I designed the shirt." We are finished. Right? I think that's the difference between Oakham and other brands and stuff like that. So we don't believe in this the whole logo culture.
Yeah.
So the thing is, mostly there are two kinds of people, right? One where brands make people, and there are others where people make brands, right? So we are in the thing where people make us, like people make an Oakham shirt. Right?
So it's not something where, like with Oakham, you're not looking for the recognition. It's more about putting out this. Out there
and believe me, this shirt will look so different on you, and this shirt will look so different on you and on her. So that's it. So that's the thing, right? The story is that this shirt becomes me, or this shirt becomes you, or you, or you.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about Oakham. It is never about the brand. It's about what it makes you and how you wear the shirt. It's really that. It's not about how the shirt wears you.
Yeah.
And so, how both of y'all individually, how would you define fashion for yourself? Like for you, it might be expressing what you believe in, but I would love to know what fashion means to you while you're designing accessories at Pishwi handbags. How would you define fashion?
So for me, it's about great footwear, great bags, great jewelry, and stuff like that. And it's always been very instinctive for me. And it, like he was saying, like once you wear the shirt, it's you, right? Like for me, like designing for Pishwi, I started off just doing stuff for myself. Like this is how I wanted, this is my form. But everything over the last 6 years has evolved with input from people who've worn those bags. So it has kind of evolved, in terms of function and slight, accents in design, which were also offshoots of function only. But those things came out of, input from people who said, "Oh my God, I'd really like it like that. What do you think about doing it like that?" I'm like, "Sure, let me do it." And if it's worked, it has become, like it has evolved into that piece because of those people. And I don't think they know it, but certain pieces are called, like I have the Maggie tote. I don't think Maggie Dayal knows that my bag is called the Maggie tote, because she told me, she said, "Oh my God, Nish, this has been such a fantastic travel tote." So now the travel tote is called the Maggie tote. Then I have a Meghna crossbody, and I have a Nidhi tote. And so basically it has evolved because of the people who have kind of picked it up and appreciated things about it, and have actually pointed out how it has worked out for them. So yeah, that's what fashion is to me.
And I
It
think
is about function.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask. So is a lot of the times when being designers ourselves, also coming from a design school, we always have this argument of like function over form or form over function. So you were working with entirely function over form, or is it?
No, it is definitely a marriage of both, for
balance.
sure.
I think it's
Like
somewhere
it
in the
has
middle.
to.
Yeah.
It has to be in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, art for art's sake is gorgeous because it just soaks into your brain and brings out all the happy things. But when it comes to actually using something, I mean, I feel like it has to have strong function, particularly in this day and age, especially when it's an accessory, because we are still looking at minimalism and sustainability. Irrespective of how much we like so many things, we still like to keep it low and keep it simple and keep it contained. So I think that's where function comes in. So just for example, like if I make a bag, I do 2 or 3 different straps as part of the same thing. So you're wearing it in the day, you're wearing it in the night, you're wearing that same piece. So you're not buying too many, although that is out of the window because I have clients who have like 8 and 9 and 10 pieces. So, but I mean, to me, function is as important, or maybe slightly above.
Yeah, for us, Oakham is exactly the opposite of fast fashion. We are supremely slow fashion, right? And even when we make clothes, I think it's like you can wear an Oakham shirt today, you can wear it 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line. It will still carry something. But so we are also very, very focused on how sturdy it is, like the way we stitch it, the fabrics we use, the kind of inks that we use when we print. So longevity for us is a big, big deal, right? So, and we make very small batches. We don't mass produce stuff. So this whole thing of this quick fix. Like, people, I know kids who buy a shirt just for the weekend and chuck it on Monday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're not in that space. We're just not in that space. But that would be an easy business to do, right? You
Yeah.
make a shirt for like $200, $300. You get something, you get it done, because and and there is a set of audience who only wants that. They just
Yeah.
want it for the weekend.
Right.
They don't. I mean, they say they want to spend that little bit of money over the weekend, party, whatever, and just chuck it, because they don't care how it washes, if it shrinks, or if it's going to hold on for the next 5 years or 10 years. But we are not in that zone at all. We want to make clothes that is going to last you. So we're very, very keen on quality and the stitching, the way it's stitched, our buttons, like everything. Even our buttons have got Oakham on it, right?
Yeah.
So all that is very, very that kind of attention to detail in terms of our finishing and everything is very, very important to us. For us, that's the functional part, right?
Right.
The shirt should hold.
I think this also plays into the philosophy of your brand, where you're saying everything is personalized.
Right.
Very.
And so people who end up buying the stuff
Everything is
aren't
personal.
Yeah, it's so
Personalized.
personal to the point where they're not going to throw it away after
Yeah,
the
they
week, 'cause
won't. No, they won't. And they're paying. We aren't cheap, right?
Yeah.
We charge a premium. And so they are going to hold on to it dearly. And they need to also see, like, what am I paying this premium for? So then one
Exactly.
is, of course, the print, and the other is the longevity, the way we make our shirts, right? So that is also there. So you're paying for something solid,
yeah.
What's also very interesting is that both of your brands stand strongly with sustainability, because no one in India addresses the fact that textile waste is
Yes,
one
massive.
of the is massive, and unlike other ways where you found ways to recycle plastic, there's not a sturdy solution to deal with textile waste. Like your denims, there's no way of recycling it like that. So most of your waste ends up in the landfill, and it's kind of great to see that both of your brands are aligning well with sustainability, because I feel that's the need of the hour.
Absolutely.
Design schools, we always learn in design schools sustainability is not very often that we come across brands that are keeping sustainability as one of their pillars while designing something. So
Yeah, so like I was telling, we have two sections to Oakham, two sides to Oakham. One is, of course, the t-shirts and the shirts that we build, and then we do a lot of things on the sustainable ground, where we rework a lot of denims, like our jeans. We buy either vintage denims or dead stock or just old denims, because you said, denims don't go, they just don't die,
Yeah.
right? So you'd rather rework those things. And of course, we buy a lot of dead stock fabric, and then we make, like unique shirts and like one-off pieces in very, very small numbers. And so we've also got to play that role in being sustainable. I mean, I don't think we have an option anymore. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
We just have to. And considering we are, on one hand, Oakham is in the space which has been violated, like in terms of the way we violated the whole earth. It's crazy, and we are in that space, and so we need to minimize our kind of footprint as something as small as possible. The thing is, we still want to make stuff, right? So I can't say I'm not going to do this, because I still want to, but how can I do it in a way that is as sustainable or as responsibly and being least intrusive, right? So that's something that we are working on.
I have the exact same ethos towards my work, the exact same approach in terms of longevity and keeping a very, very low carbon footprint. I kind of pick up my leather. I first of all, it's leather. I have I know a lot of people have issues with that, but I'm saying you pick your battle, right? For me, leather is a sustainable. It is a sustainable material. It will last forever. One, and second, it is biodegradable. I know in terms of production that there is a lot of waste, and then it has its ethical questions. But my thing is that I use leather that is it's leather that's in the system. It has been produced for someone. It hasn't been used. All of it is there in the system. And a lot of brands look for perfection in their pieces. So if there's a little scratch, I mean, this is the skin of a being, right?
Yeah.
So there will be, I mean, there are life marks. There are life marks. There are stretch marks. There are growth marks. And a lot of people discard that, and that is what I use because I love the character that brings
Yeah.
to a
Yeah,
piece.
absolutely.
I love those. Like there will be it's a scar. I mean, we all have scars, and
Yeah.
and I love having that because it has a story. It has a story of another being on it. So those are the pieces that I do land up using as the highlight of my piece. It's going to last you a really long time. I have people who say, like, not leather. Why are you not working with faux leather? Because I know, there's cactus leather, and there's apple leather, and there's banana leather, and all of these. But there is a sub amount of PU in it, which will disintegrate in time, and
Peels
will
off,
cause
starts
that
peeling
piece. Yeah, and it will cause that piece to be discarded. So I. Like during COVID, which is when everything went really slow and low, and we had to keep holding on to those dreams of putting these products out there. But I kind of added another aspect to it, where I was like asking, because I already had a system and I had karigars and I had the tools and I had the leather. I started repairing old brands, other pieces, other people's other brands. And because we have the aesthetic, I know cobblers do that, and that is also that has been our version of sustainability in the country for years. But getting those, I'm doing Coach, and I'm doing Versace, and I'm doing all of the big brands right now. But it's not repair, it's repairing with an aesthetic to kind of maintain the original structure and the feel without being so I had these tools. I started doing this, and I feel like that has been as satisfying as creating a new piece, because then you're pulling a piece out of storage and putting it back into the world for use for another 5-6 years. So I'm like, don't buy a bag, get what you have repaired. So that took off during COVID.
So I think on the same line, I was actually going to ask you that is like, with your handbags, when they're designed, is repairability also something you keep in mind while
always I get asked like, why do you say this?
And she also refreshes
this?
bags, right?
Yes.
They come to her after many years, and if she refreshes those bags, they look as good as new. With the beautiful old, that age, it's also leather ages gorgeous. If you let leather age, it's something about, it's like jeans, like denim. They age so
it's
beautifully.
Beautiful. Vintage aged leather has its own story, and that is why I came in actually using vintage leather, because a lot of people have to use it for 5-6 years to bring it to that, right? So I bring in a piece that already looks broken into, lived in, and has its personality when it comes to you, and then you make it your own with frequent use and stuff. So as far as repairing goes, I repair my own stuff. I have a lifetime warranty on all of my pieces. I mean, that's what I live for. What's the point of just putting things out, then not taking responsibility for what you put into the world? So basically, repairing has been as important to me as putting a new piece out there. And I also have people, actually, that's very interesting, because I have people who send me my old pieces and say, I've used this tote, can you make it into a sling? I love that. I love it.
Rework the whole thing.
So using the same leather, restitching it, making it into a smaller piece with a completely different look and function. I love it.
I mean, we see that a lot in our households as well, right? Coming from middle class, upper middle class backgrounds, our parents will use something, pass it down to us, and then they'll be like, maybe you can cut this down, see what can happen, then it'll go to someone else. In the end, they'll become a bag, it'll become something else. In the end, it'll become a pocha. But you can see that, see that piece
life cycle.
Life cycle. I think we Indians do it better than anyone else. Of course, no one speaks about it, but there are so many smaller things that we do inside our household in terms of sustainability that bigger brands need to pick up on. But that was great. And you touched upon the small bit about COVID-19, right? It hit all of us like a wave, and no one really trains us to everyone trains us to be creative, supports us, but no one really teaches us how to survive. And I would love to know what your story has been through COVID, because you all started right before COVID.
I think this also plays on the lines of, we were talking about sustainability ecologically, but I think you always need to have a sustainable business model as well through going into all of this. So how did you all deal with COVID when it happened?
So for us, for Occam, we bled very heavily, right? It was 2 years. I think 2 years we bled very, very heavily. And so the thing with me is, we had bootstrapped, we didn't take any loans, nothing. So it was all our money. And so we were just bleeding money for 2 years. We had to keep the place, we had to pay the staff, and whatever. And there was no sales and nothing was happening. And so we bled. And to be honest, have we recovered from that as yet? No. It's been like almost how long since COVID? Almost 3 years. We were shaken up quite badly. But we persisted. We're still here. I mean, is it great? It is great in many ways. I mean, could it be better? Yes, it can be better. But we're getting a lot of things right. But it's okay. We'll let's let slow fashion. Let it take its time. But another great thing about Occam is it's made me completely fearless, which I think I have, and I've always been a scared person. Always all my life. always had that, like a good job, keep the job there, have security, have money in the bank, and I have none of that now. And none of that. I mean, I say none of that, and I have become completely fearless. I think that's one of the best things Oakham has done for me, which has just turned me into this absolutely fearless person. I'm actually so scared of my fearlessness sometimes now. I wonder, I hope it's okay.
I have the exact, like literally everything you said to that question right now, I have the exact opposite point of view.
I think that's great. That's great because
Yeah.
we're sort of contrasting the two.
It's great, but it's great to hear his perspective of it. Like during COVID, like COVID was the best time for me. I don't know, Pish, we just took off during COVID for two reasons. One is that, it's the kind of business that I'm just dealing with the best category of consumer that there is. I'm kind of talking to working professional independent women, and they know their mind, they know what they want, and like interactions are so beautiful. It's so strange that I feel like with Pishvi, right? Like, and because I deal with marketing and communication, and when someone calls and like, what do
She's
you
very
think?
hands-on on that. That's an amazing thing. I haven't been able to do that. To have that one-on-one with, like, she has an amazing rapport with her
It's
customers.
like, yeah, it's like everyone's my friend now. So it's like
Yeah.
this massive
amazing.
pool of women who are now my friends. It's like my circle has increased. I have people who I have never met them, and they're in different states, and I'm like local guardian to their children in Bangalore. We've never met. And things like that. And two is the communication is so beautiful and appreciative and respectful. And during COVID, I know I sent a lot of messages out to people just saying that I hope you guys are okay. We're not, I hope everyone's all right. And I had people like chatting with me, like, oh my God, like, thank you for asking, but this is my problem. And it was like, it was almost like I felt like I was in the position of like hearing people out, because they were women
You
like
became
me.
the barbershop.
Yeah, like totally like the barbershop. And I was like, this is a
That's
good
amazing.
time.
That's
Yeah.
amazing to have.
So that happened during COVID. And I still, those people are still, they're friends. And so what happened was, during that time, I was like, I asked people to kind of raid their closets and see what needs repair. It's a good time. You have the time right now. Let's see what can be redone. So the repair work went into full swing at that point. And two, these women were buying bags for their mothers and sisters and friends, not for themselves. They're like, oh my God, but it's my friend's birthday and I'm not going to go out and shop during COVID. Can you send a bag to Delhi? I want to send a bag to Dubai, and I want to send a bag to,
Right.
to Chennai or to Bombay. And so women were buying gifts for other women from their homes online, chatting with me. And that is how actually, that's the time during COVID that Pishwi really took off. So it's like the
Yeah,
exact
exact opposite.
opposite of what Anoop said right now.
At least you have some dichotomy in your talk show now.
But it's been 6 short years, I would say, because I see both your brands just starting off. I mean, more to come. But if you were to go back 6 years and then do something different with your brands, make that one change, what would you have done differently?
If there is anything
there
you would
is-
have done differently.
To be honest, I don't even know what I'm doing now. Let alone go back 6 years. I have no clue. I'm just going with the flow. Like, we're alive, we have food to eat, beer to drink, and shirts to design. There's the odd person who buys it. We're okay. To be honest, I don't know, dude. I don't have a trajectory, any one of those hard rules. We don't have
5-year
any hard rules.
plans.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Sometimes those things are very, very restrictive, right? You have these hard. We had to go through what we had to go through, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have any of these learnings, right? I wouldn't be fearless.
Yeah.
I would still be, if everything was honky dory, I'd still be that fearful person who's worried about money and this and business and that.
Right.
We're not. I don't know. I don't know if it's the right way to go about it, but that's just me. Right? I don't know. Is it right? Is it wrong? But then who's going to say if it's right or wrong? We don't know, right?
Right.
Which is, I don't think anything could have been different. And if the outcome would have been different, it's just the way it is, right? And this is just the way it is, as it is now. That's
Right.
it. So we don't have any grand plans and none of that. It'll go where it's supposed to go. You just do what you have to do. That's it. The rest will take care of itself.
Is this the same with Pishvi, or
She's not the same as though. Now, every time I hear her speak now, she goes on to another. Like, oh my God, this is different.
Yeah, but Pishi has changed my life. It's changed everything. It's changed me as a person, whatever kind of, insecurities or whatever I had has just flown out of the window. It's made me a different person. I have so much love to give because I get so much love back. I know you'd say this is just a bag, right? Like how much can change? But just the way people see you and the support that I've received from the people that have bought my pieces, to the people around me, my mother and my mother-in-law, they are freaking rock stars. Like, oh my God, I have no words for these two women in my life. And and my friends, like, who have, like, I mean, there's just so much of love and positivity, and it's been organic. And as an answer to your question, it's been organic. I love the way it's been progressing. I wouldn't change anything about it, primarily because Pishwi is a brand that kind of thrives on a daily conversation. Like I go to source my leather and I put up pictures while I'm there, and it was like, oh my God, save that for me, save that for me. So the bag is not even ready. They're just looking at piles of leather, and they're like, oh my God, are you there? How is it going? Can I come with you on a road trip? Pishwi as a brand has been a conversation with everyone that follows me. It's just it's a conversation between friends.
That's
the brand
great.
is
That's
that,
amazing. What that kind of rapport with your customers is supreme.
Pishwi holds more than things, it holds conversations.
Yeah, it does. It's conversations, it's love, it's support.
But it's amazing how, even like I said, we've shared a lot of pop-ups together, and how people come seeking her out, seeking Pishwi out. My friend said this, my friend that, and I don't know. I mean, like, I've seen that. Like,
yeah, I mean, Pishwi is mainly. I haven't spent on marketing because it has only been referrals. It's been like, for every piece that I sell, it's like 5 or 6 people asking about it. They don't always convert to sales, but they're like, oh my God, I saw your bag with a friend and I really love the work you do, even if it's just that much.
yeah,
People do sometimes message to tell me, I've seen it. There's no compulsion to buy, just that you appreciate what you see is enough for me.
so that happens to us a lot as well, Okum. So there are so many men and women who come and see us, and they just love the stuff that we do, and they come and say, like, we just don't have the guts to wear this, but we just love what we do. And I'm saying, like, you don't need guts to wear it. Just wear it. So they might not be buying customers, but they will always say, I know who will wear this shirt. I know somebody else who will surely like your stuff. I will put them across to you. But it's really nice. That is really, really nice.
So on those lines, what would you say is the story behind the shirt you're wearing today?
You don't want to know, dude. This is called drop acid. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Tongue, so it's called drop acid. I don't need to tell you about acid. It's not like I do acid. I think I have I made a t-shirt out of it. Yeah, this is the tee that I made with the drop acid.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So this is the same lip that's here.
Uh-huh.
Right? So we tweaked it a bit here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with parental advisory and everything. Yeah. So it's not for everybody.
And I think circling back to 6 years ago, where we said that, I think both of you all also come from the story is different, because I think you sort of jumped off of the deep end and left everything behind and started Okum, whereas I think Nisha, you started it alongside your film agency.
I started
But she's
alongside.
still-
I
she's still
still do
filming.
films actively. It's just that Pishwi has, like kind of consumed or kind of, really enveloped me.
Right.
But I actually still do films that are design heavy. I don't do like previously we did everything that came our way. Like I have a partner, we do films together, and she still continues to do films, but I just pick the ones that are more design and visual heavy. As far as costume design, set design, grade and sound design. I come in specifically at those points which I really, really enjoy. I can afford to be selective here and not sit on those boring first cuts and second cuts and all of that. But I really still love film. It was very hard for me to let go of saying that I am a filmmaker.
Yeah, you shouldn't, because it's still
because
you
it's
still
still
have
part
so
of
much to
me.
offer, right?
And to be very
You have
honest,
something to, like, even for me now. So what this is, I'm so sorry to cut
No,
you
no.
off, right? But like she says, I do have a parallel life, right? So
Right.
sometimes there are a lot of friends of mine where so I, to a certain extent, because of my experience with working in advertising and stuff, I still have a whole bunch of learnings from the whole communication industry, right? So I consult for a lot of friends when they're starting stuff, or for other friends who have small agencies and stuff, right? Because there is a wealth of, I have this wealth of knowledge where, from there, and ideally I should be sharing it instead of, like, the same thing with her. She has a thing of skills in another, and we should be allowed to multitask, right?
Yeah.
Do more than one thing. I think it just opens up our minds a lot more.
Absolutely.
In terms of what we create as the more things you do, the more inspiration, and you're just opening your minds up to other things, and you never know where that's going to take you.
Also, when you say creative, right, what does creativity mean to you? I feel like primarily creativity is a culmination of all your life experiences.
Yeah.
Every visual
Yes.
that you have taken, every learning, every inspiration, it all comes together. It's a manifestation of every visual that you've ever experienced in your life. So for me, it's like, oh my God, that tan bag. I started off wanting to do specifically tan bags for Pishwi, because when I was a kid, my cousin, who was a lot older than me at that point, always traveled with great tan messenger bags, which she used for years, and they'd be worn and they'd be broken into, and they'd really have such gorgeous personality. And she's still the inspiration behind Pishwi. She doesn't know that, and she's not on social media, but she's been an inspiration,
Right.
for that visual design. And this was when I was 5-6 years old, so that's an image that was always stuck in my head. And now when I see certain Pishwi pieces, I'm like, it just takes me back to the time of what I never even thought I wanted to do, right?
Yeah. It's almost as if you read our minds, because that was where we were going. Is like we were going to ask you, how do you define what being creative is?
Creativity is just so I think everybody is creative for
Yeah.
starters. I think it's an omnipresent kind of a thingy,
absolutely.
right? And you can be a creative chef, you can be a creative accountant, you can be a creative whatever, a doctor,
Marketing,
anything.
brand, everything is
Yeah.
creative.
So it's I think it's how you bring your little unique spin onto something, right? Everything is being done in a certain way, and suddenly you come up and say like, oh, maybe I should try and do it this way or that way or that way. Right? And suddenly that becomes, oh my God, that's like, and it that becomes like, oh, you've done it. That's a creative way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's just a different way of doing it, right?
Right.
So we kind of defined creative to anything that's different,
Yeah.
right? So if I make a soup in a certain way and I decide to make the soup this way, so oh, that's so
Right.
creative, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's so different.
Right.
So that's it. It's just that you just take that. But for that, to make that difference, you need to be very well versed in many things, not just in your culinary skills.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You need to know, you need to travel, or you need to do whatever, and that's what brings that difference. That's the like she said. That's why I think that's what it comes from everywhere. Like I am, for me, I mean, I love history, I love philosophy, documentaries, and I'm not a big entertainment person. I'm not into sports either anymore, at least. So, but it's so many, and I love to read. I love to read all the old scriptures, like like the Kabbalion and the Vedas and everything. So you won't believe the kind of stuff that you get out there. It's like
It's a
everybody gets
Yeah.
so stuck, like so myopic, and you start believing things. The first thing you do is stop believing anything. The moment you believe something, you're gone.
Yeah.
Right. So like, don't believe in anything. Let things go. Right. Let it be. You don't have to believe in it. As of now, that's how it stands.
Right.
Right. That's I can sort of relate to that. I don't believe in that, but I can relate to it right now. Tomorrow that might change.
Right.
Right. So, but if I say I'm going to believe in this, then that's it. Then your creativity is over.
Right.
Right? Then you're stuck on that one trajectory.
Right.
You should, I mean, that's the way I see it, at least. I don't know. Maybe there's another
That's
point
such
of view.
That's such a fresh take on creativity, because I mean, I feel in the recent years we've all done arts and crafts when we were growing up, but I personally feel creativity has been institutionalized a lot recently.
Like
I mean,
everything else.
Yeah, because I mean, people only look. I mean, I can vouch for this. People only, when they hear I'm come from the creative background. The first thing that they assume is I'm a designer. I'm a
Yeah.
fashion designer. Or I'm working graphic designer. I'm
Yeah.
product design. They forget that we do much more than
Yeah, I
that.
know.
The fact that we're putting something on the table means that there are at least 10 or 100 people have thought and put their efforts in. Like you said, an accountant probably helped me
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
And the purists might disagree, but I feel like social media has brought to the front so many people doing so many small things,
Yeah.
right? Like small things, it could be doodling, but doing it fantastically. And it's not a question of just watching those reels. You know that those people are putting something into the world out there, and it's given them a platform to be seen. And as consumers, like for me, even something like that that as an inspiration, right? You're looking at colors, you're looking at someone's art, watercolors, everything brings so much. And thanks to, you know, Instagram and stuff, there's just so much that you can see, that you are privy to, right? Otherwise, you're in your world. I know creativity has kind of mutated based on that. I believe so. I mean, I think that earlier, I mean, your inspirations were your experiences around you, but now you sit in your home and you are privy to the world.
Right.
You know, landscapes and colors of landscapes, and you know, all those that go into like texture and combinations of colors and stuff. So I feel like that evolution has also
Yeah.
kind
And I
of.
also believe there's one thing that has really worked for me is always start looking at things that you don't believe in, right? You say like, I don't believe in that. Okay, so then let me see why I don't believe in that. That is amazing the way it opens up your mind. Like, you know, so it can be with anything and say like, I'm an early riser and I believe in that strongly. I say like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to get up early. Let's see what happens. How does that change anything, right? You don't know. We don't know, right? Or if it works the other way as well. If you're a late riser and say one day I'm going to get up early and say, just see what happens.
So it's that willingness to experiment.
I think, and to say and to consciously say that I actually don't believe that. Therefore, let me see. So there's no point in doing things that validate your beliefs already. Then again you become very, very narrow-minded, right? You need to start looking at things that you don't believe in, things that you don't agree with. Speak to people you don't like, right? You'd never know where those things take you. And that's what opens your mind, really.
Yeah, I feel like it's like living softly, like live softly.
Yeah.
Don't make
It's
like
very
I feel
Tao
like
thing.
don't
Live softly.
live
Like
softly.
water.
Yeah.
Like don't like dig into your ideas too deeply, because you know that nothing is hard and fast, or nothing is so solid that it can't dissipate. You know,
Yeah.
it will like there's. I mean, you could be proven wrong.
That is self-destruction, pretty much.
Yeah.
If you're going to be so firm in your beliefs.
Right.
I think, like, on the lines of creativity being institutionalized, do both of you come from backgrounds where, like, did you get a formal creative
So I
education?
came from art school, but I did commercial art. So I'm not an artist per se. I can't, if you give me a pen and paper and ask me to draw, I can't draw. But I can put things together. So I can put things together, I can make up a story, I can do all that. But I do have an art background, but it's a commercial art background. But even though I went through everything, I went through sculpture, fine art, painting and everything, and wasn't very great at any of those things. But my skill is that I can just put things together to make a story, you know, which that I believe is my current skill at least.
Right.
So that's what keeps me going.
The exact opposite of what you said. Just
Always good to have an opposite.
Yeah, I think
the exact opposite.
this dichotomy is probably great for the conversation. Yeah.
No, I have absolutely no art background, but this is how I've lived my life, you know. Like I was saying earlier, everything like I do with Pishwi is an inspiration of what I've seen and felt, and there have been people in my life that have been the stronger influences, but I've also been I've been someone who's been able to put things out into the world from a very early age. You know, making Christmas cards or greetings cards when I was like 6 or 7, and you know, I had this family, my very close family friends. That uncle and auntie used to keep greeting cards for me, and then I used to redo them in like paper mache and do patchwork and all of that, and they used to buy the cards back. So very recently, actually, their daughter picked up a Pishwi to me from me, and she said, "Oh my God, I just showed it to mom, and she's just mind blown by your design." I was like, tell her she started it. You know, when people believe in you, and you've been given that agency to to say that, oh, your opinions and you've got good taste and your design is strong from a very early age, it gives you the confidence to know that you can do something. And there's that fearlessness that he talks about comes from that place of knowing that, okay, there is an acceptance for what I do. So yeah.
Personally, I would like to ask you, you're a filmmaker yourself, if being two young adults, trying to do something as crazy as this, what is your favorite movie that, sort of defines you? The one movie that you always go back to?
I would never be able to answer that question.
Right.
That's never, my God. In fact, as a filmmaker now, I like everything. To be very honest, I'm not discerning when it comes to films, because I know as a filmmaker, how much effort goes into every piece of work, whether it's set, art direction, screenplay writing, music,
Right.
sound design. So I try to find one nice thing, unless it's completely irredeemable. But there's just so much over the
Right.
years. But if you ask me about a genre, I freaking love Mallu films. Okay, like my God, it's like the new, new wave, cinema, like Majid Majidi, and we used to talk about French films and stuff. Malayalam films are just spectacular, and I
Right.
would watch like 95% of what would have come out, what comes out of like Malayalam
Right.
cinema. I love the work. It's such a slice of life. It's like you're walking. I mean, this it's so stripped down of any fancy, like there's no shusha about it. Okay, it's like you're walking parallelly in their
Right.
lives. It's so natural, and the performances and writing and it's not art directed. They're shooting in people's houses that have been lived, like torn curtains. My God, as a set designer, as a filmmaker, I'm in awe. Like, wow. And I'm not even sure I can do something like that. So I'm in awe of the way they do their films. There's just such a tremendous, and it comes out of, I think, being it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. Like, they won't accept bullshit.
Yeah.
So
I think on those lines, a lot of us being creatives, we draw a lot of inspiration from movies and or music or things like that. When we're creating something,
Right.
like we could even a product could just be inspired by something we were listening to. Is there anything that inspires you with what you're with the stories of your shirts or anything?
I don't know. It's mostly current, a lot of current affairs, or it's just human behavior, right? Like a lot of our shirts is about fearlessness, or this one is called the retort, really, because it's people who give you that really smart answer back. So it's very, sometimes it's pretty much mundane and everyday things,
Mhm.
but there's it's an interesting story, and I somehow think it needs to come to the forefront, because people who can speak their minds, or that fearlessness shirt or whatever here. So I have another one which is like, for instance, this, and the current state of mind where everybody's like atmosphere, you know
Right.
engaged, right? Everybody's in this state of fear.
Fear.
So a lot of current affairs, a lot of human behavior. It's mostly human behavior.
Mhm.
I think most of that is pretty much what really kicks me and gets me going. And sometimes I get very esoteric, but mostly human behavior. Yeah.
Is there any like go-to song or anything you listen
I
to while
was just
working?
going to
or,
say,
like,
again, it's the opposite of what he's saying
Yeah?
right now, because to me, like, I'm just like trapezing to life through life with Pishri. I've got my headphones on, always listening to some great electronic music, whether it is through the making process, or driving to pick up the leather, or just walking from my home to the studio. I think I'm just like walking on clouds all the time. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Anoop is also my music partner, so I love the music he listens to, and we share
music
a
is,
lot of
of
music.
course.
Music is my life.
Yeah,
So
so is it's mine as well. That is one thing we can agree on.
no, we agree on a lot
we
of
thrive
things.
on music, both of us. I mean, like, and we listen to all genres of music,
Yeah.
right? From the very old, from Jim Reeves and way back to what's currently happening. So, and all the new genres as well now. So we're very, very eclectic in our this one for love for music and all kinds of music. But music, of course, plays a humongous role in, I think,
Massive.
both our lives. Both our lives. Yeah, absolutely.
And circling back to the entire idea of creative economy, we hear that word coming up pretty often lately, where we're trying to define what it means to have a creative economy. And how do you see yourself positioning as a stakeholder within this ecosystem of creators? Where do you see this entire ecosystem leading to? With you have your big brands that are coming up that are sort of taking over this entire space with creating trends, and then you have brands like Ocam trying to, I'll do my things my way. And so, where do you see the entire situation leading to in terms of the creative economy?
I don't know. There are two ends of it, right? The creative economy, of course, is thriving now thanks to all the platforms, right? We had social media, then we got software, we got things, and then now with the digital printing for us, so we're able to print small quantities, so we don't need to print thousands of meters. I mean, we wouldn't even existed if we had to print 1,000 meters. We can't afford that kind of stuff, right? We're not in that space. So the creator economy is being enabled by a lot of things, like platforms. Things have been more access to things, right? And like drop shipping, where you don't even need to. You just need to have a mock of a T-shirt, right? So these are things that is so, which means everybody's now saying like, oh my God, okay, now let me also do this. So I think in one way the creator economy is a brilliant thing to do, right? So that is one side, but you're always going to have the big players, right? The big monopolies are always going to be there. So that's now where it's really the consumer who needs to take a call to figure out like, where do I want to be, right? Do I want to be this side or do I want to be that side? Do I want to pay less money and get something generic, right? And which also comes at a cost, which is not sustainable, and blah blah blah. And there's another one which says, okay, then I will be more local, right? I will shop smaller brands. I will shop local brands. And we have some exquisite Indian brands now. The small brands, I'm talking about like micro brands or small brands. It's mind numbing. We are on par with anything on the world in terms of the fashion scene and in terms of the style scene, not just the fashion scene, right? So we're very with it, but it's all of them are struggling, right? Because it's the consumer that needs to take a call and say like, either you support us, right, or we're going to die. But the thing is, it is also in your well-being that all of us are doing it, because tomorrow your children will also be creators, right? Yeah. So you must remember that. So it is very important for you. You can always do this, but I would suggest like just help and be on the side of creators, right? On the creators, and help them out. And everyone is struggling, and it takes a lot of guts to be a creator. And this whole creator economy it's very fragile. It's very, very fragile, and it's very disappointing at many times. It's very disheartening. So it comes with its own set of like good things and bad things, right? So like I said, it really depends on how intelligent the consumer is. Right? They need to start seeing like, okay, now what am I buying? Why am I buying what I'm buying? Do I really need to buy what I'm buying? Is this me, or is somebody else or am I pretending to be somebody else? So there are a whole bunch of questions that I think the consumer needs to ask themselves more than what we. So we are here. We are offering you this thing because thanks to technology that we've been able to, it has enabled us to offer you this. Now it's your call. You decide how you want to do it. So I mean, that's my take on it. I'm sure Nisha has a different take on it.
No, I mean, see, to be very honest with you, right now I'm very happy with my sliver of the pie where I am at. I would like to sell more. I'd like to be able to afford more holidays. I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is that I love where I am at right now, and I can afford to do it because of the format of my work. The format of my work enables me to be able to, like, I'm not in with the trends, to be very honest with you. Like I'm so sorry to say, a couple of years ago, someone said, have you seen this brand Tumi? I was like, oh, Tumi, is that a brand? I'm like so disconnected from everything that it's all in my head. But the beauty of my format, unlike the other bigger players, I mean, with their volumes and having to reach those, targets, I don't have that. For me, it's 100% creative offering. So like 2 weeks down the line, I can completely change the look. In fact, I have something going on right now that I'm so excited for summer. Like 2 weeks, in around 2 to 3 weeks time, I'll have all my pieces that are so different from what I've done in the last 3 years. And I can literally afford to do that every month or month and a half. So the confidence that I have that when I'm seeing something online, I'm like, okay, this is your today, tomorrow I can do something else. So I'm not bound down by the industry or by what other people are doing or any of the rules. Even in fact, rules in the sense, my karyagar will say, Madam, aisa nahi hoga, aisa nahi banta, I said, let's at least try this. Because I don't come from, like you asked earlier, I don't come from any formal design background. I have nothing.
So you have no constraints.
I have no constraints. I just know one thing is that I my onus is on strength, longevity, sustainability, and these three percepts. If I'm holding on to this, I can kind of do anything with that in mind. the options are limitless. So as far
So
as
that's another thing that you need to choose, right? So now, a lot of people start businesses. I mean, okay, a business should be thriving. I mean, at least it should basically take care of your stuff and little more, perhaps, right? Now, like the creator economy, you thrive when you're in that zone, right? So it's the whole thing of the sell out and the sold out. And once you sort of start getting funded and you start getting bigger money, then you're answerable to many other people.
Yeah.
Then you get sold out, right? And
Yeah.
then it's all about scaling and it's about money. And so basically you've lost. So now it is up to us to say, like, what's important here, right?
Right.
Is the soul of the brand important, or do you just want to
Right.
go all out there and make money, and it's all about an exit strategy and stuff like
Yeah.
that? So I don't know. So that is the place where, so we would always want to be in this creator space, right?
Right.
Where we are not, nobody dictates rules to us like this because of financial pressure or anything else. But at the same time, we need to be doing well. We need
Yeah.
to actually make money. Otherwise, this is a pointless thing. It will happen, but it's just going to take its own sweet time, right? And the thing is, so you have to be very clear where you want to be, right? What is your stance, and what is your objective? If your objective is to make supreme money and be a sellout and go and get an exit strategy, go live somewhere else in retirement, then I don't know. Then, but we are not in that zone. Yeah, so
I mean,
that's something we're very clear about.
I'm exactly there.
Yeah.
To wrap things up, you mentioned that there are two opposite ends of the spectrum. So going forward, do you see maybe finding a way to balance the both?
Yeah, we have so the thing is the middle ground, right? We have to find that middle ground. That's I think that's where all our businesses will either make it or break it, right?
Yeah.
And believe me, the moment you get bought out by a big brand, they will kill you,
Yeah.
right? That's their strategy. It's buy you out, kill you, and that way then you're no competition. It's cheaper for me to buy you out,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, then you're no contest. So that, how do we preserve that? Like, now to preserve that, you need that very loyal, like she's almost there, like that loyal audience.
Yeah.
You need that kind of thing who will keep you afloat, and then you keep building that base, and you at the same time you also educate people on style, and then you say, like, why be shackled in that? It's somebody else's. It's like playing football,
Yeah.
like everybody plays football, but the thing is, you haven't made the rules. Somebody else's rule. You're just playing the game,
Yeah.
right? And you need to question these things, and I say, like, so you need to start opening people's and let people experiment. So I tell people, like, just wear the shirt once. You don't like it, give it back to me.
Yeah.
Right? Just wear it, see how you feel, see what other people think about you, see how they look at you. I mean, your whole perception changes. And they all wear it and say, like, shit, I feel good in this, like, so go for it. What's stopping you? What's the fear? So it's a very interesting space. But it has to be an organic growth. It has to grow. Like, I don't know. In my mind, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. That's how I think right now. Let's see how it goes.
What about you? Any final words? Anything?
No, I'm all talked out.
Just to end on a slightly, it's lunchtime, slightly
Yeah,
end
I
on a
know,
better
I
note.
know.
Have you all ever wondered why a circular pizza comes inside a square box?
And why it's cut into
Triangle?
triangles?
I'm not a big pizza person. So it never bothered me. No, I'm assuming it's more difficult to make a round box.
That's exactly the right answer.
Yeah.
Like, it's so that's the pizza. That's what the Pizzabox paradox is, and so
It's so strange. It's so difficult to make a round box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that work? You can't have a round box.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
No,
it's
a
round
box is square.
Yeah.
So that's I kind of brought this up because you were questioning you talking about how we need to question things,
Right,
even though if
right.
they may not make sense to everyone, but someone has to question them.
Yeah.
This entire idea of having these conversations with guests like you
Interesting.
came up from that idea where Dave and I always get existential when we sit down to eat. And then there's one
What are
day
you all smoking, boys?
it's just the Zomato prices.
it's even funnier, I think, because we're sober that we're getting so existential.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The other day we were trying to order pizza because one of our friends spoke about pizza, and then I look at Dev, I'm like, I always find it weird that we are eating a circular pizza that is triangular inside a square box. Like what is the answer for this? We came up with 100 creative answers, but the right one.
Yeah.
Which was a production deal.
No, actually, you should just have square pizzas.
Yeah, that's actually.
Which is already
Also-
there.
Yeah.
Which is already there, by the way.
But when
It
you're
fits
doing
so
square
beautifully.
pizzas,
But
yeah,
the thing
I'm
is,
thinking about when you're
I'm
flipping.
assuming the pizza makers also going to they earn that extra money there probably.
Yeah.
They have to give you more pizza. I don't know.
Not just that, when you're flipping the pizza, right?
yeah,
Like the
right.
geometry
You
of
can be
it will
really-
be circular.
You can be really
Right.
bad at it, like, while
Right,
making
right.
parathas.
Probably that.
Right.
It-
Because when you're flipping the pizza like that,
Oh, yeah.
So it
thin
becomes
out,
circular.
it will be circular.
But we aren't
because
disputing the
of
shape of the
gravity.
pizza. We're disputing the shape of the box that it comes in, the container it comes in. Yeah.
But yeah, that was an insightful conversation on pizza.
Hey everyone, as we wrap up this episode, we wanted to leave you with something truly inspiring. The power of creativity. It's not a magic trick reserved for the chosen few, but a wellspring that bubbles within each one of us.
Remember that feeling? You see a shirt that screams you, or dream up the perfect bag? That spark to create something for yourself. That spark of creation, that's where amazing businesses and ideas are born. We all have stories and experiences that shape us. And creativity is how we weave them into something tangible, something special.
Because let's be honest, businesses are more than just the stuff we buy. They're stories. Every brand, every design whispers a secret. Who they are, what they stand for, the world they want to paint. It's about connecting with you, making you feel something. We buy into stories that resonate with us, the ones that make us shout, "Yes, that's me!" And speaking of stories, let's talk about sustainability. It's a big deal now, but here in India, it's kind of woven into our DNA. We've been reusing, fixing, and making things last for generations. It's this beautiful tradition, this respect for what we have. But fashion? Fashion needs to learn a thing or two. The industry leaves a giant footprint, and that's a story we have to rewrite together.
But hey, it's not just about the clothes. We, the consumers, have to wake up to. Fast fashion might seem cheap, but there's a hidden cost. A story that they're not telling us. Transparency. Understanding the true value of what we buy, that's what matters right now. Remember, the customer is still the king or the queen. But knowledge, that's the real power. By tapping into your creativity, you can create something meaningful and contribute to a much more sustainable future.
So, what story will you tell? What will you do to become a more conscious shopper? Let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts with us, and until next time, this is Pizzabox Paradox, signing off with a fist bump.